Lucy at Footprint Tarot here. These are the two decks I'm using. This is the main deck that I'm using today. This is called the Steampunk Tarot Wisdom of the Machine. Wisdom from the Gods of the Machine. And this is the Victorian Steampunk Tarot, which I've only just received actually, and I'm going to use that if any clarifiers are required. So the subject of this video is Donald Trump going to face justice in The Hague over the appalling and heartbreaking situation at the US-Mexico border. I think most people by now would have seen that picture of the man and his little girl on the banks of the river having drowned, and was terrible to look at. I did look at it. The situation, look, Australia is no kind, welcoming garden angels when it comes to asylum seekers either. We send those people to islands in the middle of nowhere, for heaven's sake. And but we have recently passed measures that if they need assistance, especially mental health assistance, they get brought and helped. You know, they get the help that's needed. And I don't know, but I hope that they get the basic necessities that are entitled to everyone for their basic health and well-being. You know, decent blankets, soap, toilet paper, toothpaste, toothbrushes, things like that. But anyway, the question is not about Australia's lack or whatever of caring. It's about Donald Trump. And is he going to face justice in The Hague? No matter how many times he tries to say, oh, Obama started it, it's all Obama's fault. It's not. You know, there's been so many articles counteracting that. It's not. Obama did not institute putting children in cages and not giving them even the barest of necessities, and having 7 or 8 year olds have to look after toddlers, and those toddlers having dirty nappies, and those dirty nappies, there's nowhere to dispose of them, so they're just lying around the place. It's appalling, and it is indeed, as far as I'm concerned, one big crime against humanity. So let's have a look. I'm going to first do a quick overview of the situation itself using the overview spread, and then I'm going to use something called the Horseshoe Spread to look at The Hague. Is he going to face justice in The Hague? So this deck, the Steampunk Wisdom from the Gods of the Machine, it's got lots of beautiful colours in it, but if you look close at the images, there can be some dark imagery coming out from it, and that's why I thought it would be suitable for this reading. It's not a light-hearted reading. It's not anything to be treated lightly, and no matter how much people try and dress it up with bright colours, some people try and dress it up with bright colours, it is a dark and disturbing situation. So, what have we got here? Queen of Submersibles, which is the Queen of Cups, highly emotional. Lady of Leviathan, that is the Queen of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles. Captain of Vengeance, King of Wands. Somebody that often people see the King of Wands as Trump. He's And I think in this case that is him. He's sitting there in his little glass bubble, not really understanding anything, not really giving a damn about anything. And he's counting, how many toys have I got? How much money have I gathered? Are my boats going to be big enough to carry it? The two queens, the two ladies, it's a highly emotional situation, and I'm not quite sure who the Lady of Leviathans is, unless it's Melania with her absolutely tone-deaf trip down to those sections with wearing that coat. I don't really care, do you? I think this does maybe represent her and her. She's digging around there for whatever it is she wants, and she's ignoring the fact that her ship's crashed and people might be hurt. She's just digging around, trying to find whatever it is she wants. Doesn't really give a care about this highly emotional situation. Anyway, those 4 cards just flew out, so I thought I'd have a look at them. This reading is going to take a little time. I might have to pause and do a bit of a swap over it. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, one more shuffle here. Oh, the cards do want to speak. Messenger of Leviathan. Messenger. That is Page of Pentacles. Don't really, not really doing as well as they think they are. Okay, Cosmic Blueprint. That is number 21. That's the world. The world is really looking and judging in this instance. So, this is the first overview spread. So, first card is going to be the situation. Queen of Swords. Justice. People screaming for justice. Mothers losing their children, having their children ripped away from them, wanting justice. Lady of Airships. This is airships in this deck are swords, and it's the mothers. They're having their children ripped away from them, and they want justice. They're screaming for it. Current influences on the situation. Heartbreak. This is 3 of airships, 3 of swords. This person is falling. He's falling away from the airship, and everyone's looking, and they are just totally aghast. There's nothing they can do, and their heart is breaking as they watch this person fall to his death. It's heartbreaking. Above the situation, what people want to think about. The 2 of Wands. The 2 of Wands. The 2 of Engines. 2 of Wands. They want to think that there's a plan that can be put into place to help. That's what's needed to be above the situation. That's what they want. That's what they want to think about. That yes, there is a plan that can be set into motion. This machine is being set into motion that can help. The immediate future. The horologer. I'll just check my guide here. Number 5, horologer is the Hierophant, I think. Yes, it is. This is the government. The government in the form of Congress, I would say, stepping in to try and do something. But, you know, there are others in Congress who don't want to do anything. They want these children punished or whatever, for whatever sick reason. And they are being punished. They are being punished. They're babies. They're little ones. They've done nothing wrong. They're the true innocents in this whole situation. And why Congress hopefully going to be able to do something soon. What's underneath the situation? What we don't want to think about. 6 of airships. 6 of airships, 6 of swords. The journey that these people have made and why they made it, why they've made such difficult transition. And the other thing is, you know, it's some of them are escaping from violence and brutality, and on a level that we, in myself in Australia, I never had to cope with anything like that. And it would be I'd make, if I had to escape from it, I'd do anything. I would take the most difficult trip of my life in order to escape something like that, if I had to. But people don't want to think about what's driven them to this in the other countries. And people don't want to think. All I know is it's violence and it's oppression and it's horrible things, but much to my shame, I know nothing about the base causes of this, apart from drugs and, you know, the general things that come up, drug traffickers, dictatorships, all that sort of stuff. But the base causes and what they're running and the conditions they're running from, I am not afraid to say I don't really know anything about that. And that is my shame, but we're not here to talk about my shame. We're here to talk about the shame of this whole situation. The past, the recent past. The regeneration machine, which is 20, which is judgment. Judgment. People have been judging the past actions, judging what's been going on down there. But as we've said, very much has happened. They've been told to fix up their games. People have been fired. People have been, you know, questioned and pulled in, and everyone's been sitting back and judging. But how much have people really been doing? Yes, there's been protests. Yes, there's been this and that. But have people actually gotten together and gotten care packages together, organised, you know, companies that deal with toiletry companies and things like that to get the basics down to these people? You know, Johnson, Dar, all those places, you know, Colgate, surely they can step in and help instead of sitting back and just sitting back there and judging. Everyone's been judging it recently, but I don't know how many people have actually been doing something to make a change, even if it's without government help. The next step, the 7 of airships, the 7 of swords. The next step is to not let the people responsible for this get away with it. That's the way I see this. The 7 of swords, 7 of airships is getting away with something. The next step is to make sure that they don't. So I'm going to do a bit of a clarification on the recent past card. Just got to make sure these are up the right way. Like I said, I haven't used these cards yet. So again, they have that little bit of that darkness to it. I love steampunk. It's one of my favourite styles. I think I liked it before it was even a thing. But anyway, the recent past, what's been going on? The 5 of moths. Okay, this might explain the sitting in action and not getting anything done. Moths are wands, actions. 5 of Five of Moss, Five of Wands. There's been a lot of conflict. People have been in conflict and arguing about what to do. What's the best thing to do and the best way to go about it. So because they're arguing, or maybe trying to get, the conflict might be that certain Republicans don't want things to change, and so yes, bills can pass all they want in the House. When they reach the Senate, no, those measures have not got a hope of passing if, you know, if certain people are still there, and that's the conflict. That's why there's been judgment on things not getting done. But really, what can they do if the people they need to step up refuse to, because they're bigoted a-holes? And the next step, 9 of airships, the 9 of swords, along with, okay, I meant to get this so we'll grab this clarifier as well. So 9 of airships, 9 of swords, make them worry, give them something to worry about. And the 8 swords, throw the book at them, throw everything at them you have, and that includes the Hague. Bring it before the Hague, have them charged. Crimes against humanity. Don't let them get away with it. Make them worry, give them a lot of sleepless nights. Don't let them get away with it. That's the next step. Okay, this is coming near the end of the time. So what I'm going to do is give a bit of a pause, and when I come back for the second half of this reading, we will look at, is Trump going to face justice in The Hague? Very least, I'd like him to be thrown into a cage for a few days with no blanket, no amenities, no toiletries. See how he likes it. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, we're back with the second part of this reading, which is, having looked at the appalling situation just before, is Trump going to face justice in The Hague? The Hague, if anyone doesn't know, is the International Court of Justice. And it is the court that crimes against humanity, war crimes, things like that are tried at. Interestingly enough, I just saw a little, I didn't get a chance to read it, but Iran bringing a charge against Donald Trump in The Hague. So, you know, that would be interesting in itself if he ended up there, not just on one thing, but on two, because of the sanctions that Donald Trump has placed on them. Iran are saying they're unlawful, and so they're taking the case to The Hague. But that's one thing. What I would want to see Donald Trump in The Hague for is this situation at the border with all those babies. So we'll just do a couple more shuffles. Shuffle this a couple of times. These cards are a little bit bigger than the other ones, but I do love them. I love all my decks. And as I've mentioned previously, I have a lot. And generally it's the subject picks the cards for me. What I'm going to read on, then I look at the decks and I think, you know, this sort of fits it more than a different deck would. Okay, so I'm going to do a horseshoe spread. And I'll tell you what each of the positions are explorers. I'm using again the same deck that I was using before. It's the same subject. The explorers, the lovers. Whether this is the Hague in partnership with other people to face justice against Donald Trump, or Donald Trump partnering up with other people to try and slither out of it, I don't know yet. We'll wait and see what the reading says. Now, the first position here is past influences on this case. So, the Eight of Swords. Past influences on this case. Well, the Eight of Airships or Eight of Swords is prison. Being in prison, being trapped, being bound somehow. And these babies, they're in prison. They're not in care. They're not in detention, you know, in a decent way. They are in prisons. They're in cages, for heaven's sakes. They are in a prison, and this is the past influence. Present influences on the situation as to whether or not he's going to end up in the Hague. This is the Navigator of Airships or the Knight of Swords. Now, quite often for me, the Knight of Swords is someone rushing in, not thinking things through. But there's another, you know, and creating chaos. But there is another aspect to the Knight of Swords, and it is charging in to fight for the innocent, charging in to fight for those who need protection. And that is the aspect that I think this applies to this situation. The Knight of Swords, the Hague, they're going to charge in and they're going to fight for the babies who are being just locked up and can see no way out of their situation. Imagine being in conditions like that and seeing no way out of it. Imagine the mental health toll that would take on. You can't tell me that a lot of these children are not going to suffer from PTSD at some point during their life. I'd be surprised if they didn't. Hidden influences in Donald Trump facing justice at the Hague. We've got Captain of Airships. This is Captain of Airships, King of Swords. It's Gemini. Trump is a Gemini. Excuse me, just a moment. Okay, just a slight interruption there. So I'm back to it. Donald Trump. This is hidden influences. This is Donald Trump talking to people, trying to get people to see things his way, to see that, oh no, I'm not responsible for this. This is somebody else's, and I'm sure he's going to try and do so many things behind the scenes that we don't know about, and we will probably never know about, to try and stop this happening. That's the hidden influences in this situation. Whether that'll work or not, I don't know. I'll have a look. I'll do a clarifier on that a bit later. Now, the obstacle, Donald Trump facing justice in the Hague. The Ace of Engines or the Ace of Wands. That's usually a yes. Yes, it's going to happen. It's strange that this is in the obstacle, because, or yes, there is an obstacle, but what that obstacle is, it's not clarifying it. So again, I will have a look at that in just a few minutes. So there seems to be an obstacle there. External influences on whether or not Trump will face justice in the Hague. Just bring all those forward a bit. Camera back a bit more so you can... I'm still learning, the best positions and the best placements for people to see as much as the cards as possible. External influences. This is the Three of Engines, the Three of Wands. Overseas. Commerce expansion. People from overseas. I think there's a lot of pressure coming from other countries for the Hague to look at this, for something to be done. There might be external influence to try and block them doing something, or the external influences of other countries, because it is other countries. It's expanded horizons. It's commerce and stuff. So there's pressure coming from even from both sides to say something's got to be done. He's got to be held accountable, or no. And I'll do my very worst Russian accent. We do not want him held responsible. He is our puppet and we want him free. So, yeah. So, again, that's another clarifier, I think. Suggested course of action. The suggested course of action. Oh, this is 12. This is triumph. And I think this is justice. Yeah, no, the hangman. Okay. So 12 is, no, that's 7. 7. Sorry, I am, geez, that's 7. Triumph. This is the chariot. Suggested course of action is go ahead with it. Do it. Carry out whatever plans you have to get it, to make him face justice in The Hague. So my reading of Roman numerals is it's not the best. But no, this is the 7. This is the chariot. Triumph. It's also suggested course of action is to go ahead with it, and you will be triumphant. The outcome is number 7. So this is the 7th card, and the outcome here is Solarium. This is the sun. This is things coming to light and justice. Happening. So I think he is going to face justice at The Hague. I'm just going to have a clarifier on the top 3 cards. There, the 3, 4, 5. But these last 2 tell me that whatever's going on with these 3, it's not going to work. Or it is going to work if it needs to work. And that they're going to go ahead with it. They will triumph. And it will be a good outcome for these babies and this person. His crimes are just going to be illuminated for all to see. So we'll just do a couple of clarifiers on the external influences, which is the Captain of Airships, the King of Swords, Trump himself. How's he going to try and, the hidden influence, how's he going to try and influence things? So let's have a look here. The Ace of Moss. He don't know, but he's got lots of ideas. He's going to take some new action and it's going to happen. But, he thinks he's got new ideas and new creativity. I don't think he really does know. We'll have draw another card on that. The 2 of Dragonflies. Now, Dragonflies are cups. Now, that's interesting because remember at the bottom of this, I said we'd see the explorers, the lovers, partnership with somebody. 2 of Cups often represents a partnership. He's going to look to one of his overseas mates to see if they can help him. That's his grand idea, or his grand plan. Now, the obstacle to him facing justice in The Hague. So what is it? Page of Swords. Or Page of Beads. Beads of Swords in this deck. That's interesting. That's on the bottom. That's delayed news. The Ten of Moths. The obstacle here is it's Ten of Wands, Ten of Moths, Ten of Wands. There's going to be so much to look at. And I think it might even be more than just the situation at the border. There's going to be so much to go through that it might be a delay in it happening. And perhaps that's what this Page of Bees means. Page is delayed, disappointing news. So perhaps they're not really an obstacle, but the obstacle of a delay. We would like to see Trump in that court tomorrow, facing justice tomorrow, but it's not going to work like that. They have so much to look at, and I think it might be to do with even more than just the situation at the border. There's all sorts of rumours floating around as to what he could be involved in with regard to people who are less fortunate. I think they're looking at a whole raft of things as well, and that's causing a bit of a delay. So the obstacle could just be a delay in getting him there, but they're going to get him there. Now this Three of Engines, overseas commerce expansion. That's external influences. Is it external for good or bad? We'll have a look at that. The Four of Dragonflies, the Four of Cups. I think that the Four of Cups is often the offer you don't want. It's the Four of Dragonflies, Four of Cups, the offer you don't want. I think there are some countries that, because they have use for him, they don't want to see him facing justice yet. That's the offer they don't want, and the option they don't want. So they're being pretty apathetic about it and not really putting their weight behind it. Do one more there. The Eight of Moths, the Eight of Wands. That doesn't matter. There's so much there. There's so much coming. There's so much communication that what they want or don't want to happen, it's going to be overridden by what will happen. So my reading on that is, yes, I think Trump will be facing justice in The Hague, if not Trump himself, certainly members of his administration. And if Trump doesn't, there's certainly members of his administration who should, ex-members as well, because the whole situation is just appalling, as I've said earlier. So yes, Trump could face charges in The Hague, and I'll just do a quick yes/no on if Trump doesn't face justice in The Hague. Will the members of his administration, ex-members and current members responsible for ICE and the other departments, will they face justice in The Hague? You know, what's her name? I can't even remember it now. Kirsten something. Ten of Dragonflies, Ten of Cups, ending a cycle. Ten of Cups, ending of cycle. We want a yes/no on that. Yep, that's a yes. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Please remember to click like and subscribe. And if there's anything else you'd like me to look at or read on, please leave a comment and I'll do my best to do so. And thank you for subscribing. I do appreciate it. As I said, I do this for fun. I don't charge any money or anything. So thank you very much.